What time is it over there?
I think it's
Could
the
you
same
say?
as you. Are you asking me? 3 a.m., 3:03.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Same as
Oh,
in the UK. The same.
it's 1 a.m. over here.
Okay, two
Yeah.
hours. Well done for
Amazing.
waking up.
Yeah, just about. Oh, you hold it up.
Good, good, good. I went to sleep and then got back up.
You are very committed, Joe, to be like Danielle, like for you it's at night and you are here.
Yeah. I
Wow.
didn't sleep last night as well, so like I'm a little bit like this at the moment, trying to keep myself awake. But I'm like, it's just an hour. Come on, I can get through an hour.
You can do it.
Yes.
Uh, Andrew, looks
We
like you
we
are
can't hear
mute.
you.
We cannot hear you.
Oh, but we can see you, Andrew.
We see you.
Completely disappeared.
Testing,
Uh,
testing.
Oh, there.
There
Yeah.
you go. Can't
Testing.
see
I've been I've been making jokes, telling you the secrets of the
you.
universe this whole time. You guess
We
you guys
didn't
didn't
hear
hear
you.
the secret to everything.
Is it 42?
I
It only
mean,
took that long. It only took like less than 5 minutes to tell the whole thing.
How's everybody doing? Great.
hola.
Yeah. All right. Wonderful. What do you guys want to talk about? Any questions on the book? I always like to start with that because there's so much in it. Oh, fun fact. I have um, been preparing my deep dive for the book. So I'm going to do a master series. I don't know. It's going to be, I don't know, 100 videos plus 200. I don't, it's going to just go through the book. I literally was like, all right, table of contents. So why did I do the table of contents this way? That's sort of the level of depth I'll be doing. It'll be a little more relevant once we get into the topics. But yeah, I've been sorting out how to do that after being inspired a few times ago of like, my God, there's so much in here that people don't even know that is in here. Um, and yeah, so that's a fun little fact. We got a workshop coming up this weekend. Floor is yours. Who has questions or comments or suggestions or tips?
I have a question. It's not about the book.
Hmm.
It's about the first of all, hi everyone. And it's about the life map
Mhm.
because I'm working on it before the
Workshop.
adventure
Yep.
that we will have. Uh, just I would like just some clarification around beliefs versus choice, because to you looks like a different definition than what I had from other mentors and personal developments.
Well, you know who would be really good at answering this question?
Who?
Go ahead. You know who you are.
Hello,
Hi, Darun.
Mauricio. Well, I think it'd probably be most relevant to understand what you thought about choice. What was your definition of choice right now? Because I had to understand my definition in order to actually know the gaps, and I struggled because it's completely backwards.
Just share what you learned.
Okay.
Yeah, don't put it on
Um,
him. Share what you
you
learned.
tell me the answer, Mauricio.
Yeah.
I felt choice was very obligatory. I felt choice was very burdensome, and I felt choice was. People said you have free will, you have choice, you have this, you have these possibilities, and I'm like, I don't feel like I have choice. All these choices are just shit. And I think I uncovered that my definition of choice was completely backwards. For me, choice was someone giving me a couple of options and really being steered to make one of those options. And it really wasn't options that I wanted, and really wasn't options that encompassed all the billion trillions of possibilities that were available to me. And I just saw through this narrow lens. And even then, it felt like someone was steering me to choose this one, like a salesperson. And I always felt like that's how my life has gone through. And that's, of course, I hated choice because it really wasn't choice. It was someone else telling me these are the available things, and you need to choose this one. Go this, go this, go this. And until I understood that, and really deep down had to go backwards and say, what is it a choice? How am I fucking this up completely? Because Andrew kept on saying over and over, choose, you choice, you need to make a new choice. It's choice. And I was like, I'm trying to make choices. I'm trying to make choices, but it wasn't even in the realm of what he meant of choice. And I think, and I don't think I'm alone in this. I think we've been brought up with the notion of fake choices. We've been told this is how you have to run your life. These are the ways you have to do it. And if you don't get that, you don't get love. You don't get the adoration. You don't get all of this. So then, deeply entrenched within me was these choices are the choices I need to make in order to get the needs met. And so I was unconsciously just really hating the choices that I was making, but really wasn't no choice. Um, and it was really hard because I'd be imagining these grand things that I wanted to do, but vision was here, and then the choices I could make in my definitive choices was all leading me this way. I'm like, but I'm trying to make one of these choices, and I thought my vision was here, and I thought they were aligned, but they were just choices were taking me in the same direction. And I'm like, but I have this vision, and I'll make the choice, and why aren't I going towards that vision? And it was because just those choices were the choices for to get me more and more trapped into the story, you know. So until I actually deconstructed it at a very fundamental level, that choices were based on from a place of feeling, from a, I still haven't gotten it fully down pat, but choices based on feeling and also require feedback, also require you to take action because I also thought choices and wants were the same thing. Those are also something I conflated. I'm like, I want this, I want $1 million, I want this, I want this. And I just kept saying, like, yeah, but you're wanting. You're always wanting, but you're never choosing. I'm like, fuck me. Like it was always wanting. I'm just a wanting person. I'm just want this and I want that and I want a great relationship and I want that and I want this and I thought that was choice. And so I got stuck even without even taking that first step. I couldn't even take that first step of choosing because I thought choosing and wanting was the same thing too. And so I had to deconstruct my language. I'm like, I want $1 million in my bank account. It's like, well, yeah, you could keep wanting, but you're not choosing. I'm like, okay, fair enough. I choose $1 million in bank account. I choose to have $1 million in bank account. Okay, what does have mean? Is it, you can have it, you can spend it away, you can make it for someone else. It's just deconstructing that to clearly define what it is that choice that has you choosing. So that was also another big realization I had, the difference between wanting and choosing. Um, And yeah, and the component as well that's really instrumental in actually understanding if I've made that choice and I've actually chosen something is feedback. And if I've taken action, well, if you've taken no action, you haven't really made a choice. You just intended to do something or you wanted to do something, but you haven't really chosen. And so I had to take action, and that gives me the feedback that I am going to that choice. It may not be the choice that gets me to the vision, but at least I'm taking action. And then I use feedback, and then I actually say, okay, am I now $999 towards 999 towards $1 million? Am I $100,000 left? It's like as I go closer and closer to the goal, I would be okay. You're making the choices, the right choices to actually get towards there. You're taking the action, and that choice and the feedback is giving you validity that that choice is getting you towards your what you wanted or what you envisioned for your life, your vision. And then if you stop halfway, you didn't really intend to actually make $1 million. You chose to make $500,000, and so we'd be like, okay, but I intended to make $1 million, and I'm using $1 million because it's probably the most concrete example that we could use that everyone could relate. And if we used $1 million, if we use $1 million as the vision that we have, it's just if I stop at making $500, I didn't choose to make $1 million. I chose to make $500,000. The feedback is the ultimate way to tell us what choices we've made. It's not like, yeah, I chose to make $1 million, but I've only made $500,000. No, the result tells you the choice you've made. There's no two ways about it. That is clear. It's a clear indication. And so that's why feedback is really important because you can say, I made this choice, but if the result doesn't reflect the choice, then you really didn't make that choice in the first place. You may have made a choice to go towards that, but you stopped halfway, you stopped early. Um, still a work in progress, but already those type of redefining it to a more accurate way of what choice is has really freed me, and the biggest thing I think I was stuck in making that once and so forth is so that I don't have to step up and I can actually get stuck in the story of my life is not working and I'm trying everything and this sucks and you know this is I'm suffering and no one's helping me and it really fed into that story. And of course, like I'll be making the once, thinking it's a choice and saying nothing's working, and that perfectly feeds into the lovely victim story that I have. Um, yeah, so that's my learning thus far, Marisha. I hope some of that resonated and helped you.
Totally, Darren. Thank you. It's really interesting the difference between desiring and wanting versus choosing. So thank you very much.
And so
Interesting.
how does that tie in, Mauricio, with beliefs? Because I think you mentioned beliefs as well.
Yes, because according to what I read, beliefs are a fantasy and future-based, but before, to me, beliefs were a paradigm, a worldview, so I couldn't make that
Mm,
distinction. And how can this be a fantasy? It's my paradigm, but probably this paradigm is a fantasy itself. So just trying to understand the difference. Also, that beliefs are external and future-based, and choosing is internal and
in the moment.
present-based in the now or in the moment. So it's a subtle distinction, but powerful.
Yeah, I believe this is going to happen versus I choose. Or this is what I believe about the world. Oh, gives a fuck. You can believe it all you want. Does the market want it? Does your partner want it? Does it work? Um, I think that's probably why I have that in there because when you're coming up with your vision, you're pulling from two sides: reality in one dimension and a future reality in a different dimension. So this future reality hasn't manifested yet, so it's not real. And so this is when I talk about the envisioning process. For me, I mean, I didn't hear this rule anywhere else, but it seemed to make sense to me when I thought of it. Is that having a vision is the proper use of projection, right? We've probably heard about don't project onto people. You're projecting, projection, perceiving, right? These filters, these distortions. Oh, it's you doing that when it's actually me and I'm projecting it on the person. So that's a perverted or, at a higher level, it's functioning from a spiritual place to be able to see a reflection of yourself. So everything serves, even what doesn't. But it doesn't serve to project all your crap on other people. So having a vision is using that same faculty to manifest, to actualize yourself, to envision something in front of you that's not there, right? But to shift that into the physical world hasn't caught up with my choice. Now it's like, well, Andrew, if you're envisioning in front of you something that isn't real, you're fantasizing about it, right? What's that difference between being in a fantasy and having unlimited creative potential for your vision? It's a very interesting line to explore. The person who says, oh, yeah, I'm going to win the lottery and then I'm going to go here and do this and that's probably a fantasy. When Elon Musk says we're going to build this rocket, it's not there yet, but we're going to be on Mars. According to his track record, that's a possibility compared to the prior example. So he's envisioning it. It's not there, but he has a vision of bases on Mars. Cool. Or not, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's an example of somebody who has a vision. It's not there. He creates it and it shows up. There's also resources, there's a whole soup of stuff that goes into it. But without that vision, without someone saying, hey, this is reality, we just have to make it. It never gets done, right? Just like the rockets, if you know anything about SpaceX. So that's impossible. You can't fucking reuse rockets and have one do a fucking backflip that's fucking 20-story buildings tall, do a backflip in the air and it being caught by robot arms. I mean, it's just insane. Well, he could see it. He did the math and it worked. Barely. Barely. That was their last attempt. If they didn't get it that last time, they would have been bankrupt and out. But they got it. And then, so there's some magic when you think big, when you choose, when you can see what other eyes cannot see. Are you perceiving the future, right? Or are you creating the future? Yes.
Very, very interesting.
Both.
So, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mauricio. I
No,
just
no,
meant to
go
say
ahead.
both.
Go ahead.
I just thought it could be both at the same time.
Maybe. Yeah. Why not? Or why?
I would say action is required, as Darun says, action in order to receive feedback, and also faith, because if there is not if that is not there yet, how can I believe it's gonna happen? Probably not, but at least some degree of faith,
Of course.
at least to me, like, I don't know, it's uncertainty, but faith with action.
Yeah, faith is a very magical component. I've defined faith, as you guys can tell. I make up my own definitions for words. I don't give a fuck. I like mine better than most of the other options because they make my life better and help explain a lot of things better. So when I say things like stories, it has a different meaning than you'd hear a storyteller. Um, Mythologies, responsibility, being a victim, things like that. I have very specific definitions. Faith, I sort of have defined that. I see that as trust in something you don't have reason to believe in. It's a little clunky, but you get the idea of faith is trusting in something that you look around and there's real no evidence to believe this. You look around, nobody's ever built a rocket like that, Elon, right? And when I feel into how I've described that. It doesn't feel like a victim energy. It doesn't feel hopeless. It doesn't feel needy. It doesn't feel in despair. It doesn't feel like it's waiting to be rescued, right? You hear a lot of people have faith and there's more of that energy. When I talk about it, it's having trust in something probably shouldn't trust. Not you shouldn't trust, but according to the things around you, it doesn't point to that. And so what that forces you to do is to align to an intelligence greater than your ego and yourself. And so that plugs you into the resources of, let's say, the divine, the infinite. It plugs you into way more possibility than not. Darun, you're making some funny faces.
I am just trying to be in the energy of envisioning a future. And I think it just really hit me. I think in the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about needs. And I've been so focused on the superfluous, the superficial, like house, car, $1 million, whatever it is. It just really hit me that, oh my goodness, I just want my needs met. And what does that future like that mean? Like, and so I think it really hurt, but it's also like a light bulb moment as well. Like I just want something simple as that, and for my wife and for my daughter and for the people around me. And how do I be the person that can do that for myself and for others? So it was both the crushing moment and a revelatory moment. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
great. What happens after everybody's needs are met?
Haven't gone that far yet.
Exactly, that's the point. So you
Okay,
see your vision stops right there.
okay.
On my last life map I did, I'll probably be doing a new one soon. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be 120. I was gonna live to 150. I am gonna live to 150. If we don't turn into transhuman robots before then, or annihilated by Skynet, that seems to be increasingly every day, closer and closer. So I said 150. All right, cool. Well, I had a really good vision of, let's say, maybe the next 50 years of my life. Cinesomatics, building it out, writing my books, family, money, health. All that was really easy. Like, okay, so in like 50 years, I fucking do everything that I could even see. Okay, well, what's left? What's next? And that vision was less. I could not see that far out, and so I said, okay, I really can't see from this vantage point what I'm going to be doing at 120 years old, in 80 years. And so I just picked. That's what I say in the instructions. I just picked. So I have terraforming other planets, and I have creating natural and high technical fabrics for like space and Earth. I was like, okay. I love fabrics, right? Cashmere, wool, right? I love that technicality of these things and the amazing things that nature does. And I also think that there's a lot of ingenuity, right, in humanity. And so, what's something that could combine that? Terraforming planets? Let's just pull that on my ass. Maybe I'll meet fucking Elon Musk and I'll go to Mars. But that's huge. Like, do you have any comprehension what would be required to terraform planets? I don't, but I have a sense that it's massive. Probably change that in a year. Probably change it once I have kids. But that's the fun part, right? 80 years out. Just the fact that I even have that out there. Maybe what I've learned about men's suits and dressing and my whole transformation of that from 3 years ago. Oh, maybe that puts me in touch with this person over here and over here, and they talk about this. And in over 10 years, that's subtly guided me to a place I never would have been if that wasn't in my subconscious mind on my life map. Land there somewhere. The other option would be the effect of the whims of the winds of whatever fucking culture you're in. So if you can't think of anything, just make it up. It's so much better to go towards something, learn along the way, and in a year realize that's not at all what I want. Well, you learn something, and you probably learn some skills along the way, and you've been able to sort through if you've liked it or not. You do that a few dozen times, you probably are on a pretty good path by then. But you have to choose it. You have to put it on there. You have to envision it. Energy has to go to it. Those things, 80 years, I'm not attached to them at all. I just needed something to put there. That tickled me. Maybe one of my clients, maybe someone's going to watch this fucking replay in 20 years and they're like, I'm starting actually a terraforming business. I like this guy. Hey, you know that video you did 20 years ago on your life map? Are you still interested in terraforming? I fucking swear to God, these are the things that start happening. You have no idea. That's what fucking makes this whole life fun. If you know exactly everything that would happen, it's pretty boring. Having some idea, when we do the cinesomatics and I see you move in your archetypes, I can predict the future based on the energy and pattern recognition, right? If you're doing this wacky shit here and you don't do anything different, I bet you in 10 years, there's going to be consequences from it. So in the Cinesomatic Life Map workshop that we're going to do, Mauricio and whoever else is coming, who else is coming? Elaine? Elias? Glenn? Wonderful. We got a few more surprise guests. What was I saying before I got cheeky? What was I saying? I lost it. Somebody help me. Rescue me, people. Save me, save me.
You're talking about projecting far into the future and at least having an idea for it that tickles you, even if it's
Yeah.
and
Terraforming.
Yeah, right. So this is how stuff happens. You can't predicting the future. Yeah. All right. You guys see how my brain works. It's been an interesting day too. So that is, just placing it there, just having that there rather than nothing is going to move your life in a better direction 100%. I don't know what I want to be. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know. Pick something. Move towards it. Mauricio said, start getting feedback. The room, right? Get feedback. very quickly. You'll find out. Then adjust. Or you can stay here and think about it for the next 10 years and come up with all of the rationale and the reasons and gather all the data for 10 years. Or you could have spent that 10 years and you fucking done 20 things past it already. So, yeah, being able to see something that is not there, but from a feeling grounded place. It's very hard to, it's hard for me to convey. There's everything has a feeling. Reality has a feeling. Fantasy has a feeling. As you guys progress through this work through, years, you're going to have these reference points. Oh, that's what a fantasy feels like. Oh, that's what it feels like when somebody made a choice and I guarantee they're going to do it. You guys have all experienced this. Listening to someone say, hey, I'm going to start this business and I'm going to do this, 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 and this. It's going to go like this, 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 and this. I've got this and this and this lined up and I'll see you in a year. Cool. Yeah, so I was thinking about doing my yoga teacher training in Bali because it's just like so divine over there. Okay. You can feel the difference. And it's not just because I'm making funny accents, right? That fantasy feeling. So I had to figure this all fucking shit out of myself because I was in fantasy. Much of my life, much of my head. And so it was an arduous. It was very terrifying and very challenging path to drop out of living in fantasy and oh my God. Okay. Holy fuck. I'm narcissistic. I'm poor. I don't have any friends. Huh. Okay. All right. That's terrifying. Are you sure that fantasy isn't a better place? Because it sure seemed like it to me. With all this fucking face in the music stuff. So as you do this, and you get these reference points in yourself, as you're creating a vision, you'll be able to start creating that distinction in yourself. I want $1 billion. I don't buy it. Why? Yeah, it's a nothing. There's no energy behind it. I choose making $1 million in 5 years from this business in this way. I'm going to go with option 2 is more likely to happen.
Could you describe the path you took from having these, because from my understanding or things you've said, a lot of those fantasy wants that you had are very similar to what you now have chosen. How did you switch those, images or desires from wants to choices?
Fucking awesome question. Fucking great question. Let me find out. I can't tell I'm a little saucy tonight. I kind of like it. Living my best life. Valentine's Day is tomorrow too, so maybe I'm a little happy about that. Amazing question, Elias. The first thing that comes up to me is embodiment. Getting it out of a head concept and feeling it and experiencing it in my body directly. That's going to be the number one, I would say, number one thing. And that's like what we're going to do in the workshop. Remember the archetype work. It's like, all right, show me this thing that you want. Okay. Oh, okay. Don't believe it. Show it to me. Okay. And so just getting that feedback from the embodiment perspective is just like, that's why I say when people in this workshop, I mean, you You, Elias, we had this session with you where you're thinking about investing, and we did this exact same process, and you tried it on, and you were like, maybe that's not what I want to be doing. And that potentially, right, could have saved you a lot of money, time, stress, whatever, from, that 10 minutes of exploring that, 30 minutes of exploring it. So you can also do the same in actualizing it. When I listen to somebody and watch them, I'm feeling them. I'm feeling like, I'll call it bullshit, right? Sort of like a bullshit meter. Mine is very attuned. Mine's attuned very differently from this work. And so I'm looking at the embodiment of this person. God, I watched this interview. Anyway, I watched this interview of the record president of Warner Music in the UK. And this fucking guy, I mean, it's like, this person's narcissistic. They are fucking useless. I could just feel in the way that they were talking. They were talking around the subject. It had this energy, and he's all fucking up in his head. And I'm like, this guy, fucking president of these companies, they're in trouble. You may say, well, how did he get there? I don't give a fuck at this point. What I care about is, wow, they're in for trouble. Because that is not a leader. That was not a leader energy. That was not an integrity energy. That was not a creative energy. It was a narcissistic energy. So just from that alone, I'd be like, I probably wouldn't want to do business with that company. So you start developing these reference points. What does someone who's honest and integrity feel like? What does somebody who's lying feel like? This is what we were supposed to happen as kids, with the right mentors, with the right role models, with, functional families and stuff, but that's not usually what happens. Ideally, in Fantasyland, ideally what happens is we learn these as we grow up, right? Our families, our parents, our siblings, they demonstrate this. We have experiences with people in life. Say, oh, these are criminals. Oh, these are trustworthy people, or these are scams, or whatever it is. And what we're doing in this work is not building up a database in our head to be threat assessing all the time, but to be building up a somatic reference point database unconsciously in our being that is just going to automatically trigger that from resonance or dissonance. When I walk into a room, I know I'm a pretty trustworthy, safe person, that I'm not going to rape somebody there or murder somebody there or steal something there. I feel pretty confident about that. Now, if someone comes in with that kind of energy, right, I'm going to have a dissonance to that, saying, well, this person does not feel like I can trust them. After doing this for so long, I fucking trust that system more than anything else. It's never been wrong. Or at least it's never been wrong and caused harm. All right, maybe I had the heebie-jeebies about this person and they're great. I don't know. But most of the time, I can feel that. So as you guys are learning this here, Elaine's experiencing this as she's interacting with the world, and she's like, well, I feel it when this person's in suffering and when they're saying that to me. And then, so you start to do that, and then you're able to move through the world safe. You're able to relate to life and trust. And that is coming from within. And so when you go to manifest your vision, when you go to create these things in your life, that same feeling resonant dissonant system for those things you do when you're writing your vision out, right? So yeah, I want to have a 10, and she's right. Bullshit. Right? Oh, they're coming from ego. I want $1 million. Okay. How am I going to do it? I'm hot. Okay, bullshit, 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 bullshit. Like I said, unless you're a model, then cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. But you have to check in that. It's different for everybody. You know, if a billionaire said, here's how I'm going to make $1 million by tomorrow, I'll say, I believe you 100%. If someone who's making $1,000 a month says, I'm going to make $1 million tomorrow, I'm going to say, man, you're going to have to prove that because it's slim chances to none. There's a chance. But if you really believe it, show me, prove it. Let's feel it in you. And I feel them, and obviously it's probably won't be. So you can do this process with yourself. When I'm speaking, you guys maybe have seen it only occasionally. But I'll lie, right? I'll say something, I make a mistake, I talk too fast, I misspeak, and I say, no, wait a minute, that wasn't true. That, nope, that was wrong. What is it? Okay, it's actually this. And I almost do it to an extent of like arbitrary numbers. Yeah, it's like 50%. It's interesting. Actually, what I start doing now is I actually start truth testing when I say those kind of numbers. So you probably hear me say, yeah, it's like 50%. No, it actually feels more like 58%. I'm actually feeling in to what that accurate percentage is. It's an arbitrary fucking number. There's no real proof. But in my consciousness, right, my integrity, the little voice saying, hey, you little fucking egomaniac, you think you're 99.99% perfect? Well, maybe you should bump that down to 90. Okay, whatever it is. So I'm doing my best to be in integrity and to tune in with those things, even down to those arbitrary numbers. And I've done it. 87, right? So I'm feeling into it because when I speak, I want it to be true. Like I want to be able to go home at night. Sometimes I'll let it go. Like it's not a big deal. Yeah, what's the difference between 85 and 70%? It's an arbitrary example. And it's just, it's just gnawing on me. I'm like, hey, listen, I lied about that. I can't. That arbitrary pretend number is actually different. And people are like, what the fuck? Right? But there's a certain integrity piece. And, I'm not, as you guys can see, I'm very playful about it. So I'm not like, oh, I gotta be perfect. Right? Not doing this crazy shit. But it's that integrity. It's that feeling. So when you're creating your vision, when you're trying to go from fantasy into reality, that embodiment and felt navigation system is really the most effective bet. And so as you go through this process, you're writing stuff down on your life map. Feel into each one. Is this real? Is this a fantasy? Is this coming from ego? Where are these choices coming from? So really, as you go through, and you're creating your life. There's so many fucking people that make these life maps and they fucking come true. They write it down. This is it. You guys are all here. This was on some fucking piece of paper somewhere. Yeah, like fucking, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 years ago. I'm like, yeah, I want to do group work. I want to write a book. And I had stuff in motion, right? I had some branding. I had website. I had ISBN numbers. Like I took action years ago. And then by the time this was done, all that was lined up, ready to go. But until this was actually published and in your hands, right? I didn't choose that. I would choose an almost book. I give that example in the book. So it's a feeling navigation system, and it's honor-based. Because guess what? You're lying? I don't give a fuck. You're fooling yourself. You're ruining your own life. So if you're saying, oh, this isn't from ego. Okay. Well, good luck in 10 years when you're, doing that from ego. So, yeah, but then you can also see what you're doing. So when you go through this, you get to see what your inner dialogue is and how you feel. Well, fuck this person. Why does this have to be real? He's limiting me. Why can't I imagine that big? You didn't say you couldn't. But if you're going to imagine that big, have it come from feeling and reality, not a fantasy. So okay, I'm reacting to this. As you go through it, you start feeling. Numbers are great. Love talking about money, talking about numbers. Easy to understand. Translates to everything. Units of love, affection, health, money, currency, right? It's just all different ways to represent energy exchanges. Cool. Really hard to put numbers on love, really hard to put numbers on happiness, but money, very, very clear, very easy. So if you're saying, all right, I want to make $1,000 a month. Okay. Check in with yourself. $1,000. Yeah, okay. About 2,000. Hmm? 5. Hmm. 10. No. Nope, that's impossible. I don't even know anybody who makes $10,000 a month. They must be an evil rich person. Whatever it is. So as you go through that process, you start feeling testing those things.
So Andrew, if I could ask you a question there. So you've
Yeah.
actually you've gone from, just say you've reached the upper limit of what you think is possible, right? Just say 2,000, 3,000, and then you feel $10,000. And we want a grand vision for ourselves, right? But when we reach an upper limit of, just say, I can only terraform my house, for example,
Why
and
do
you
you
can't
want
do,
to, hold on, why do you want a grand vision for yourself?
well, um,
I would start there. Just in the way
hmm,
that you say it would make me want to
right,
look into that part.
okay.
So,
Um,
but go ahead, continue your question.
okay, no, that's actually for me to take back, and I'll come back to you on that one. Um, but okay, just say you want to terraform Mars, right? And you're like, can you change the environment around you? Sure. Can you change the community? Mm. And so you've got a vision of terraforming Mars, but you feel like changing even your community doesn't actually feel possible, right?
Mhm.
And so is that the step where things come up and you feel, what is it that's actually coming up that's not allowing you to progress even further, or not even think of the possibility of going further? Is that
Yeah.
the process? Okay.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you can't get there. All right. Well, maybe you should start at your community, um, and embody that. I mean, as I've gone up, car values, right? As I've bought more cars, as I've been more successful, I had to embody a certain, right? I had to go from $600 car, $2,000 car, right? 10, 20, 100,000 color, 100,000, whatever the fuck. I couldn't go from a $600 car to a $100,000 car. I had to embody the vibrations in between of that. Some people can. Some people's ability to the distance that they can go, it's all relative. Now I could probably go to $1 million car if I wanted to, right? Or from a, I was just using money because it's just such an easy way to think about it. You could go from one wife to 20 wives, whatever you want to do. All right. Who did I scare? Um, no Mormons in the house? All right. You guys didn't know this is my comedy hour here?
I'm actually an ex-Mormon. That's part of my
Welcome.
childhood trauma, so
Oh, where you have sounds like a blast.
oh yeah.
And what is it? The never-ending darkness or something where people go to. What's it called?
I think I blocked it all out.
Talk about terraforming planets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Eternal Darkness. Yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead, Elaine.
Something that I was thinking about as you were talking about this is a big element of your vision is first having curiosity and knowledge of the world. Because like I don't even know what terraforming means.
Yeah.
So I'm so far away from even knowing what that even is.
Exactly. Yeah.
I could never even get there because I don't even know what it is, first off. So
Exactly.
by opening myself up, exploring curiosity is going to bring me closer to doors opening in the first place, I guess.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. This is why traveling is so great. You travel to other countries, other languages, other cultures. I didn't even I mean, right? Mauricio came in with Jose Jose. Didn't even fucking know that was a thing. I'm like, JoJo? What the fuck is that? Jose Jose. Like, okay. He plays it. I'm like, oh, I got goosebumps. I had no idea. But now that he opened that, oh, maybe I play some more music over here. Oh, I like this other artist. Oh, maybe we're playing some more Mexican music in my house. Cool. Maybe 2 years we'll go to a concert. I mean, he's dead, but right. I never would have even known that whole thing existed if I wasn't introduced to that. And what happens as children, right? That inspires them. Oh, I went to the trip to Tokyo and I saw this artist, the photographer on the street. So when I wanted to grow up, I was inspired to do photography. Well, if you never fucking left the house and saw what a camera was, that inspiration would have never been there. So that's why it's so important. That's why there's such a strong pull towards the heroic life that I talk about in the book, and why the avoidant life is just misery. You know, you're avoiding everything. You don't get new data. You don't get exposed to new things. One thing I like to do that I've done probably, I think every single time, unless I just was reordering something online. When I was working with my mentor, I made a new choice. Every time I went to the grocery store, I would try at least one new thing. A new flavor, a new brand, a new type of food. And pretty much from like 10 years ago, hold on, where am I? 8 years ago, sometime, but 8 years ago. See, even I did that there. I want to be, you know, I checked in. Like, okay, it's close enough. So the amount of new foods I've tried and been exposed to in the past 8 to 10 years is probably hundreds and hundreds of new things that I never would have experienced if I just stuck to the same milk, potatoes, bread, you know, whatever it is that I grew up on. So tying this more into stuff, feedback, data, right? Moving in a new way. So you ingest new foods you've never had before. There's new data coming into your body, literally new genetic information it's never experienced before. Well, what's the chance that your life is going to be different after that versus you eating the same thing you've eaten 8,000 times? It's getting we're getting a little esoteric here. Some of you like that. Some of you are terrified, but a little feeling in that, and you can extrapolate that. You can, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So you can see that I started that pattern. I made that choice. I don't want to fucking just eat the fucking same 10 things. All right. Every time I try a new thing. Clothing. That allowed me to try all sorts of new clothing. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. But I tried it. Foods, restaurants, I've been to a lot of restaurants that haven't been good, but we've been to a lot of restaurants that have. I'm willing to take risks. Part of that comes out of scarcity and abundance. When I was poor and in scarcity, I would buy guaranteed things. Because if I went to fast food joint, if I went to Jack in the Box, McDonald's, whatever it was, in the past, Elaine, it's okay. Neil, it's okay. I do not go there anymore. In the past, when I was a muggle in the standard American diet, and I would go to these places, and there's something on the menu, and there was 50 things on there, there was this energy from childhood of, well, you better order what you like because you're not getting anything else. So there was, I mean, this, we're talking like $3 in like 1990s money. So it was that tight. Parents did the best, and there was a lot of times where you don't get a second Happy Meal if you don't like your first one. So be happy. So some of that stuff was in there, and so over time I've had to say, oh my gosh, if all this scarcity programming. And I remember one of the things that I did to break out of it, this was crazy. It's not really, but for me, from that energy, it was. One of my best friends at the time, we went to Subway. I said, you know what would be fucking crazy, dude? You know what would be fucking badass? If we bought a whole fucking meal and took one bite out of it and threw it in the trash. That's how fucking abundant we are. Because why, right? There's people starving in Africa, don't you know? Right? Eat everything on your plate. Let nothing go to waste. All these sort of subconscious patterns that I noticed were in my life, preventing me from fucking just trying something and being like, this sucks, I want something else. I couldn't do that. So that was one of the first sort of like, fuck this, I gotta break out of this pattern. And so we did, we went in. Everybody looked at us like crazy. We just sat down and got a fucking sub. And it was 6 inch or 12. 12 inch. 12. Come on, we're fucking ballers, right? Bag of chips. Open up Lay's potato chips. Subway. I got fucking full stack, whatever. Large soda. I didn't even drink soda. One sip. One bite. One chip. Into the trash bin. And then we walked out like we were the fucking most badass fucking people, and everybody looked at us, what the fuck was that? So, a lot of drama, probably very unnecessary, but these were the things that I was playing with when I was younger. You guys have a little more advanced processes than ego tripping. But it worked. You know, it was like, oh my God, I didn't die. I didn't get arrested. Oh my God. I just threw a perfectly good sub away. Like, never done that before. Can anybody relate to any of these weird fucking programmings that we get? Like, what the fuck? What does me eating this last fucking piece of broccoli have anything to do with Zimbabwe? What the fuck? They don't even grow broccoli in Zimbabwe. So having that willingness to make that choice, all these things start allowing me to expand out, to try new things, getting out of that scarcity. All right, well, now I'm not going to die. Well, maybe I can try food, a new food. I don't only have $6 in my bank account. I have like $60 in my bank account. I might be able to try a different flavor of ice cream this time. Literally, guys. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. And now it's very, very, very different. I'm like, what source of organic matcha do I order from? Japan? What place in Japan? Tea is my prissy thing. Some people got cigars, some people got watches, some people got wines, brandy. Like tea.
Your full moon ghee. What's that, Andrew?
Oh yeah, the A2A2 gear cow, cultured, grass-fed, full moon ghee. Yes. Like that one. I had to try it. That shit's expensive. I have to ship it in from India. It literally, fucking guy gets on a plane and takes it, drops it at my house. Bye. Straight from India. It was a risk. It was a risk. But I found it out and it's been delightful. Spices. I tried organic Talacherry peppercorns and I put that into my grinder. Oh my God. It's just, it opened up a whole new thing. I didn't know pepper was good. It was just these black flakes that come in a little packet. It's nothing. The aroma, I mean, this is something. Real vanilla. So just, you can see that you apply that. Bye, Elias. How these single choices start bringing in new experiences that can then allow you to refine a bigger vision in your life, Elaine.
I'm really glad you brought up the food thing because lately I've come to this place where like I want to try stuff. So I'll say, let's try this ice cream. We tried it, like it's not good. We're throwing it away because I don't want to eat a lot of sugar. So, I'm not going to eat something I'm not enjoying. But I didn't really put it in the context of what you were talking about. Like I am trying stuff and I'm allowing myself to try it, but if I don't like it, I'm not going to consume it. And that's very freeing. And I'm teaching my girls that too. Like, well, it's not good. So, and especially with drinks. And I have this thing, like if I go in a place and the people are in a bad mood, they're going to make me a drink, I just walk out anymore because usually the drink is bad. So
I didn't know you
but
drank.
it's just part of myself. Like it's taking care of myself and what I'm ingesting. And I'm just not going to do that to myself. I feel it. So, yeah.
But you were talking about green juices, right?
Yeah, like any kind of juice shop or coffee shop, whatever. If the people are in a bad mood, their drinks are terrible, and I just
Holly was thinking, I want a Long Island, I want a martini. Helene and I and Neil are like, what kind of juice do they got? Is it cold pressed? Fucking flash pasteurize my ass. Give me the cold press.
No, I'm a wine girl.
A little while ago, my kid, every now and again, we take them for a treat, You have to let them explore these different foods, and they wanted to go to McDonald's. And I was like, ugh. So anyway, they got these like slushy drinks. And my son was like, Mom, try it. And I'm like, this grape flavored thing. I'm like, I'm fine, my boy. It's yours. Enjoy it. He's like, what would Andrew say? He literally said that to me. He's like, Mom, live a little. I'm like, listen to my kid preaching to me. So I tasted it. It was very sweet. And I was like, it's not for mom, but you enjoy it, my boy. He's like, it's so sweet. I'm like, it's full of sugar.
Yes.
So funny. When you were talking about vision earlier, and last week when you were talking about us being the stage and then all the players, and then this week I've been in my garden a lot. And when you were talking about vision, a few things came up. Like in the Bible, it says, my people perish for a lack of vision because you don't have a vision. So then you don't know where you're going, And when you were talking, I was like, oh my gosh, we're gardens too. And it's like the vision is deciding what seeds do I want? What do I want to plant here? And then actually going to get the seeds. And then the work is preparing the soil, taking the stones away, making sure it's healthy, planting the seeds. But then it's not done.
You're so aristocratic. The workers. Back in my day, we just grabbed a shovel and went in the backyard and workers.
And then you have to water it. And then you've got to make sure it's okay. And then is it growing? Is it not growing? Why isn't it growing?
And are there weeds? Weeding it. Yeah.
Yeah, so weeding it. And then once it grows, it's like, what is this? Is there fruit? If there's no fruit, then there's a problem.
Yep.
So it's like all this feedback from your garden. And another thing, when I was in my garden, I have banana trees. I have a food circle. I do a little bit of regenerative farming. And I don't know if you know how banana trees grow, but it's so sweet because they say it's like a grandmother, the mother, and then the daughters. And what happens is when the plant bears fruit and there's bananas, you harvest them. And once that harvest is over, you chop the mom down because it no longer bears any fruit. That her season is done. And then by the next season, the daughter has become the grandmother. And then she will bear fruit. And when she's born fruit, you cut it down. And you'll see, like in the layers, you'll see the little daughters there. And then the next season, the mom will be the grandmother, the grandbaby will be the daughter. And so I was walking through my garden, and you have to weed and you have to, cut down, you've got to prune. And then I was literally videoing my banana trees. I was like, look at this abundance.
Is that a euphemism?
No, I was literally doing it. And then I turned around like this to video my garden. And there was this huge pile of refuge. And we have to cut away the shit. That's the subtraction. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a garden. I'm not a stage or a projection. I'm like the garden. And then I was videoing, and there was a caterpillar on the refuge. So it's like life eats life. It's the cycle. And then I went and then I saw my fig tree. My fig tree hasn't had figs this season. I'm like, what's going on with my fig tree?
They need some wasps.
And yeah. So it's
You guys all know how figs are made? If you don't,
with that
look it up.
wasp.
It'll terrify you.
Yeah,
They're
it's
delicious.
crazy.
Go ahead, Danielle. Just a fun fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating, and it's like, what are we planting? What is our vision? Are we watering it? Do we actually want this thing? Yeah. That analogy last week about the stage, I was like, oh, yes, it was a gold nugget. No longer pennies can drop in America, Andrew, because the penny is done. Did you hear that? Trump's like, it takes 10 cents to make a penny or whatever. We're not making pennies. It costs 2 pennies to make 1 penny. We're not making them anymore.
I missed that one. That sounds fun.
Yeah, so there's no pennies to drop anymore. It's only gold nuggets now.
Yeah, or the other shoe.
We don't have pennies in Canada, Danielle.
Don't you?
No, we haven't had pennies for a long time in
Yeah,
Canada.
because they got a bunch of loonies up there.
That's right. And it's not the queen. The loonie's not the queen. The queen's on the other side of the coin. The loonie is the loon on the. Because sometimes when you call the coin a loonie, people who don't know it's a loon, that bird on the back, think you're talking about the queen. It's a loon, Joe.
Yeah.
Anybody else? It looks like we had a little fun tonight, or at least I had fun, and hopefully somebody else enjoyed it while I was having fun. It's one of those days. If you only knew.
I was thinking about this kind of thing last night, and about when, say, new ideas come in, or new opportunities and things. I go into that very much, yeah, but what if this happened? Or yeah, but have you thought about that? And I'm just thinking now, whether or not that's part of my probably avoidance of life.
What would it feel like to
Like
say
a-
yes and instead of yes but?
I wouldn't know what to continue the and with.
Well, your vision stops really short then.
Yeah. I know that wasn't a feeling. Feeling would probably be stuckness, if that is a feeling.
Well, I'm sure it is. Yeah, so what I would invite is to It sounds very Barney, but use your imagination. That's why I'm fucking great. I watched Barney as a kid. Like, use your imagination. You don't have any friends, make them up. I was like, great, I love this guy. I don't have any friends. Sounds good to me. And
Yeah,
so I've
but
just used my imagination since.
what if things go wrong?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so good point in here is that those are good questions just at the wrong time. So when you're coming up with your vision, you don't want those limitations there. When you go to make a plan to achieve certain things, those are fine questions as long as they're coming from possibility rather than fear and uh, discomfort. You know, it's well, is that really a good idea to go and start your own business? You know, it's not very safe. You know, don't you want a stable job at the bank?
Mhm.
Um,
It's safety, isn't it? It's the
yeah,
need for safety.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then so what happens is what you want to do is find that safety inside yourself
Mm.
instead of being based off of what you want to do in your life. So I feel safe in myself. So that also comes with experience, right? I've been homeless twice. I've had multiple businesses at a software company. Um, I've backpacked through parts of the world, you know, and I've been doing all this. So I have that embodiedness of, yeah, let's go to France tomorrow. Okay. Right? Versus, oh my God, well, I gotta, I can't, but then it's fucking, yeah, what would Sally think? Oh my God, but then the fucking dogs? But what about the dog's diapers? Who's gonna change the dog's? Oh no. You know what? I'm just gonna stay here for another 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are all anti-possibility questions. When you're designing a rocket ship, fucking I want you to ask a billion questions of what if this went wrong? What if that went wrong? You understand? But that's a very different context than creating the vision for your life. So when we're in that creative space, it's okay to come in and say, yeah, well, what about this? Or how about this? Or what would it look if we do it that way? Or man, that doesn't feel good. What if we try? Right, that's a brainstorming. You're creative. But it's not like, you know, it has a very different energy. So when you're writing up your life map and envisioning your future, why not do it with the most expansive starting point? And then later on, as you go to do it, right, you start bringing in some data, say, don't think I'll terraform another planet in 4 years, right? And then you adjust your vision based on that, right? So this is your life map is something that you can continuously update. You know, if you get married or you have kids, it fucking changes everything. If you lose a job or start a business or get arrested or whatever, you know, hopefully nobody in here again. Hmm. Let's see who didn't laugh. All right, Holly, you didn't laugh. Have you been arrested, Holly? No, you're just scared. Okay. All right, this guy's
Joe,
They're
I
just
can.
curious.
Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Joe, that's something that I work on a lot too, and it helps me. It's been helping me to see it as a mythology, as a pattern that I have learned, pattern behavior that I've learned from parents and my environment, uh, and dropping, uh, actually just dropping the blah 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 but from my language completely. That helps. And also when I'm working on my vision, anytime I feel that energy come up, the energy of limitations, thinking of limitations as opposed to possibilities, kind of feeling that that is an energy that I can let go of, and choosing the possibilities, but seeing it as something that is an energy or mythology that runs in my family makes it easier for me to feel like, oh, okay, well, that's not me. I can let it go.
It takes a
Yeah.
bit to be able to get out of that, right? Because you're just like, this is just how things are. And then getting
Yes.
a new reference point, like, oh, wait a minute. I don't have to do that. I don't have to abandon everybody when I want to go and become a musician. Oh, didn't know. Oops. No one told me. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's embedded in like in the process. Even when I started to work on my vision, I would start with limitations or what I
Mm.
can't do, what I can't have,
Yeah.
as opposed to
Yeah. Yeah, my coach recognized that with me. Like when I first started working with him, he was like, "What do you want?" And I used to say, "What I don't want." Yeah. No, that was really helpful. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very important when you create your life map and your vision for it to be in the positive, right? This is what I have. Well, I don't want to be this and I don't want this person. And, because you're just saying that's what you want. And the people that keep envisioning awful people rejecting them all the time, they're going to eventually have the kind of energy that makes people probably, turned off. So, yeah, you can start with it. You say, man, I really don't want this. Great. Follow it up with, well, what would I want instead? Just that one little flip is going to, because it'll orient you differently. I don't want that. Or, oh, I just want that. And so as you heal the stuff stops running you. Right? You say, I don't want to be like my dad, or I want to be just like my dad, and that runs you in either direction. But if you just say, well, I want to just be that, then you just pick. So you're at choice. It's kind of what the rune said, right? This sort of matrix that we're in sometimes. Well, do you want to go to a university or a community college? Oh, which one? Right. It's a certain in psychology and um, NLP they call it a double bind kind of thing. Would you like to pay me now or later? Well, anything they say implies that they're going to pay you, right? So there's all of these things where you're given the illusion of choice, and if you don't know to think out of that, it is going to direct your life. Right? So if I said, would you like chocolate or vanilla ice cream? Well, you didn't even know you could take a boat and see a mariachi band, right? Because you're in like, well, I just want chocolate or vanilla. So you see that the person that asked that question, that offers you those choices, is the one directing you. Because if they didn't say that, you might just be like, oh, pasta, boat, sleep. But because they asked, would you like that? We're compelled. Well, since you're asking, right? And it automatically changes what's possible. So when you're creating your own vision, what we're trying to do is to get you back into your own power. That's why the amnesia exercise is so good. If you guys haven't done that, do that before your life map. Sort of give you a reset. Say, all right, well, what would I envision for myself that's not based on of all the stories and limitations that I have already? If you don't know it's not possible, then how do you know it's impossible? People, lots of people thought what I do is impossible, but it's happened. So you get to be the one that actually chooses a vision from within yourself. And that amnesia exercise, right, can really help decondition. Do I even want to go to school? Do I even want to get married? Do I even want to stay at home? I never even. How come nobody's ever suggested I live in Asia? Okay, well, that's a possibility. What would that be like? But as Elaine said, the more you experience life, the more of this data, these opportunities come into your field, and you can start refining, what you want your life to look like. And it's not just your life, right? Your life, your community, and humanity as a whole. But if you can't get your life in order, good luck helping humanity, right?
I've got it the wrong way around currently.
Yeah. Oh, savior complex? No. As you didn't get there. Have you finished the book? Not yet? Nope. Well, there's a little.
I'm on. What am I on? I'm just starting avoidance. Like I've kind of skim read some of avoidance
Okay.
because I'm avoiding it.
Yeah.
Drops.
At the very last chapter, there's a subsection on responsibility called first in ordered first first in ordered room or house room. Yeah. Thanks, Danielle. uh, yeah, secret. I didn't write my own book. That's just kidding. I'm just a total fraud. I don't know anything that's in here. It's a big book. Yeah. So thanks for having my back. It's either a room or house. But the point of that, right, is like,
I
great,
think
you
it's
want to help a
house.
lot of people. What, Danielle?
I think it's a house,
Oh, I thought
which
you were
struck me
mouthing
because
room.
that was the first thing I wrote in my diary, like years ago, like clean your home. And then when I read that, I was like, oh.
Oh, I thought you were. I thought I read your lips and it sounded like room.
I said house,
Oh,
home.
home,
I think I said home.
room, home, home. Yeah, I got it now. All right. So, right, if it's great that you want to have this vision for other stuff, but if your life isn't in order first, it's like people that say, I'm really good at loving others, but not myself. It's like bullshit. How the fuck can you give something that you don't have? So it may be you may be nicer to people than yourself. Sure. But what's really going on?
Might need to leave my job then because I work in healthcare. Thinking. Thinking brain on now.
Anyone else? Darun? Heather? Glenn?
It was a really good point in terms of the amnesia exercise possibility, because I fucked myself up on both ends. I didn't know what a choice was, and I wouldn't allow myself to have possibility. So I just gave up the whole exercise of doing a vision. I even really found it hard to do the amnesia exercise because I'm like, there's no possibility, there's no choice, none of this shit worked. Let's just not have a vision at all, and let's just stay depressed. So I just thinking about,
Right.
yeah, I really screwed myself up on both ends. Like, and Andrew, we've done obviously a lot of work. I wouldn't even allow myself to have the possibility. Couldn't even take that first step towards a vision. Like, oh, that's ridiculous. That's like you said, Joe. Yeah, but I just limited myself already, and to the point that I kept on doing it over my life, and now I just like no vision. It was hard for me to envision even like 3 months down the track. Like, oh my God, like all the work that I need to do. He's just like, it's just a vision. And I brought in so much burden about the work I had to do, and then you have all this possibility, and every time you add a possibility, there's so much more burden. And it's like that's not the point of this. I can't even do a simple exercise of even having a possibility. And so in order to, I had to learn what choice was and what a possibility was. And a possibility I had to define wrong as well. It's just a possibility. It's not a plan. It's not something that you have to do. So, yeah.
What is it, what would it reveal about one's life if coming up with a vision for their life felt like a burden?
I could speak a little bit to that.
Okay, Holly.
For me personally, it revealed more of the martyr archetype. Like I prioritize literally everything else, and this is me prioritizing me, and I'm not doing it. Gee, I wonder how you doing thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I believe somewhere in the instructions I say how you approach this life map may be even more important than the map itself. People come on the calls, workshops. This is not a workshop. This is your life. My jingle. Anybody want to hire me? Man, I am cheeky tonight. All right.
gotta send us some recipe for your green tea.
Make some really good chai lattes. We have all these different varieties of loose leaf black teas and different chai mixes. So, fun fact about my house. Darun, what are you doing? What's going on for you?
Not sure at the moment.
Okay.
Just possibility and all the stuff coming up. It's just a lot to uncover.
What did you hear when I asked the question? What must it mean about someone's life that taking time to have a vision for themselves is burdensome?
I'm not even worth it.
Could be.
The whole dismissing of self possibility. Don't even dream. Don't even think about this. Don't do any of that.
Yeah. Why? What must have happened to that person to think that way?
That's the constant crushing of dreams and the possibility of life. I just don't think my dreams were ever nourished. No one ever took me aside and said, "Yeah, you can." It's like you took me aside and just said, "Yeah, it's like you can do anything you want, and you should go after these." It's just that it felt like this was the missing. Like I skipped over this part, like in my growing up, that to go after your dreams and you can do anything you want. It's just that I guess I didn't do it. And I just followed the double bind. And it was just heartbreaking. And I just feel that I've just completely crushed this part of me because no one else would help me out in this aspect when I was a child. And every time I try to step up and have a dream and vision, and that just got crushed. And I was just like, what the fuck? There's just no point. There's just this vision dream thing is not for me. I just follow it all, whatever's there out here, just to fit in, I suppose, just to survive.
Anyone else? No? All right. Danielle?
I was just going to say, if you think of Arya, would you want a vision for her? You could start envisioning for her if you don't feel like you deserve that. What would you want for your daughter? And like find value. You can find value in her. It means you have it too. So you can cling on to the limitations or invitations
It's a
there.
good, it's a good stepping stone. Do you feel like you could have a vision for her?
I'm just thinking. I think I could, but it's very scary. I think about it now, and it just maybe one tiny step better than what I have for myself. It's
well, what might that result in?
Another me.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So, you know how you didn't have the person that supported you, said that you could have a vision? That's who you've become. So, you can make a new choice and be that person for you and your daughter and your wife, your whole family. It's going to require the courage to go into that fear and letting yourself look at things you want to see and things you don't want to see.
It's very confronting to learn that, to really see it now that I've just been doing what I've been given.
This is the power of choice. It comes all the way full circle to this. It gives you the power to create something from nothing. To change the trajectory of lineages, societies, families. Daddy, what's life about? Beats me. Good luck, kid. What happens after school? Can't see that far ahead. Let me know when you get there. I'd love to know. I'm exaggerating. But
What's really even scarier than that is I'm just offering in my mind the same choices I was given. Like in my head, these are the things I envisioned for you, and these are the things, that's not a choice. That's just the same shit that I'm doing for myself and done for myself.
So there's no creativity.
No.
Creativity brings something new. So if I were you, and we can do it on our private call, yeah, it's this fear of going into that creativity, which is possibilities. Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks for your vulnerability and sharing.
You're welcome, and thanks for holding space for me to be able to do this and get to this realization. Thanks, Danielle, for putting that. That was really illuminating.
Darun, thank you for your vulnerability. I could feel your sadness. So I feel you. Thank you.
Well, beautiful, Marisha. Thank you for that.
All right. Thanks for playing tonight, or letting me play. We got a workshop coming up this weekend. Life Map. There's like one spot left if anybody's feeling frisky. But besides that, it's pretty packed. We got the fellowship next week and this call a week from now. So thank you guys so much. Happy Valentine's Day. Do something maybe a little nice and maybe a little naughty. If you're alone, well, have some self-love.
My sister and I have a little joke that the day after Valentine's is the discount chocolate day, so I celebrate that.
Discount Rose Day, yeah. Roses, chocolates. All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Ciao.
Bye, everyone.